For decades, dietitians, doctors, and public health officials have largely agreed on one thing: if you want a healthy heart, eat more plants. But this split-screen graphic shows two very different grocery carts. On the left, we have someone stocking up on fresh produce, lentils, and raw nuts. On the right, someone else is hitting the convenience aisle hard, loading up on packaged vegan cookies, sodas, and synthetic meat alternatives. Under current dietary definitions, both of these shoppers are eating a plant-based diet. And thanks to modern food marketing, both carts get slapped with the exact same glowing label, 100% plant-based. Cardiologists, however, are noticing a serious problem. Adopting this broad dietary label is failing to protect a significant portion of their patients from heart disease. The recent surge of highly processed vegan convenience foods has created a massive, unseen blind spot in modern cardiovascular health. Simply swapping out animal products for plant-derived alternatives is no longer a guaranteed shield against arterial plaque. Science is now having to completely reevaluate what the word healthy actually means when it comes to our food. The NutriNet-Santé cohort study provided the specific data required to analyze these conflicting outcomes. This massive investigation was published in the Lancet Regional Health, Europe, a high-impact, peer-reviewed medical journal. The sheer scale of this investigation is staggering. Researchers tracked the detailed dietary habits and heart health outcomes of over 63,000 adults over an average span of 9 years. To get accurate results, the researchers had to make a critical shift in their methodology. They abandoned the overly simplistic, binary question of asking whether a food came from a plant or an animal. Instead of just looking at the raw ingredients, they deployed a sophisticated scoring system to evaluate the degree of industrial processing that the food had undergone before it reached the plate. By shifting the scientific lens to measure how a food is engineered, researchers could see that the biological impact of a plant depends entirely on its journey from the field to the factory. This metric is known as the NOVA classification system. NOVA is a multi-dimensional framework used by scientists to categorize food based entirely on the extent and purpose of its industrial processing. This diagram tracks the journey of a single plant through these stages. We start with a whole, minimally processed apple. That's NOVA Group 1. If it gets sliced and canned in heavy syrup, it drops to NOVA Group 3. But if that apple is pulverized, stripped of its fiber, and extruded into a neon fruit snack, it lands in NOVA Group 4. NOVA Group 4 is the category for ultra-processed foods, or UPFs. UPFs are industrial formulations engineered with emulsifiers, artificial flavors, and thickeners, all specifically designed to bypass your natural satiety cues and drive overconsumption. When the French researchers applied this scale, they found that subjects eating a diet rich in minimally processed plants, NOVA 1, saw an impressive 40% reduction in their risk of cardiovascular disease. Then came the anomaly. Subjects consuming a plant-based diet high in ultra-processed foods from NOVA 4 saw their risk of heart disease increase by 40%. Eating a highly processed vegan diet carries the same cardiovascular risks as a diet heavy in processed animal products, like cured meats and cheeses. You might wonder if these people just had unhealthier lifestyles overall, a bias known in research as the healthy user effect. But the researchers strictly controlled for confounding variables, like smoking status, physical activity levels, and total daily calorie intake. The empirical data proves a clear point. Whether a food originates from a plant or an animal matters less to your heart than the amount of industrial destruction it undergoes before hitting your plate. To understand the biological mechanics behind these numbers, we look to the clinical work of Dr. Dean Ornish and Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. Both physicians developed intensive dietary protocols that successfully led to the regression of atherosclerotic plaques. Their research showed that whole food plant-based diets, often abbreviated as WFPB, physically halt coronary artery disease because they are naturally devoid of the saturated fats and cholesterol that form dangerous plaques. Whole plants also deploy an active biological defense. They are packed with soluble fiber, which binds to and clears out LDL cholesterol. LDL, or low-density lipoprotein, is the specific type of cholesterol that builds up on the walls of your blood vessels. Meanwhile, raw phytonutrients actively circulate to reduce arterial inflammation. Compare that healing environment with the internal damage caused by ultra-processed foods. The manufacturing process systematically strips away that protective fiber and injects inflammatory refined oils right back into the food matrix. In its natural state, a whole plant acts as a highly effective biological medicine, but industrial processing takes that exact same plant and re-engineers it into a cardiovascular toxin. This brings us to a common point of confusion within plant-based cardiology, the assumption that a heart-healthy diet requires the elimination of absolutely all fats. For general heart disease prevention, healthy, unextracted fats are actually highly beneficial, provided they remain trapped within their original whole food matrix. Specific protective sources include foods like avocados, walnuts, and chia seeds. These are rich in monounsaturated fats and vital omega-3 fatty acids, which help maintain healthy blood vessels. The true dietary enemy is not natural fat. The real danger lies in the industrial extraction, refinement, and chemical processing methods used to create boxed convenience foods and synthetic oils. And that leads to a harsh resolution. The dietary term plant-based has been entirely hijacked by food engineers. They are using it to sell hyper-palatable junk food under a false halo of health. If you want to protect your heart and actually reverse disease, stop trusting the plant-based marketing printed on a box. Instead, prioritize the foods that don't require a box at all.